Hi artists, we're going to be turning some two-dimensional or flat shapes into three-dimensional or 3D forms. The way that we do that is by drawing the outline of a shape, a flat, empty shape, and then adding shading and highlights where the light is hitting the object. And that's going to make it look like it actually has depth, like it's coming off of the page. It looks very complicated, and it's not super easy, but if you follow me step by step, I promise that these flat shapes are going to start to look very, very realistic with just a little bit of work. You can't hurry through it. You have to make sure that your lines, that your shading goes all the way to the edge of your objects. But if you do that carefully, it's actually pretty forgiving when it comes to exactly how dark or how light you're shading something, and it'll still look very three-dimensional. So the first shape that we're going to work with is our circle, which we're going to turn into a sphere. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is get something circular that you can trace. Give yourself a circle. And we're going to start shading. So the most important thing to remember is that there's also a shadow underneath. So you can go ahead and give yourself a shadow underneath, and it's just going to be like a sideways rainbow, an arc. It's going to go all the way to the edge of the circle, and you know what? Even though it's going to get some graphite, some pencil lead on your hand, go ahead and shade that in. You can make it just sort of medium pressure, which means that you're only pressing about half as hard as you can press. We're going to be using really hard pressure, medium pressure, and light pressure, all three of those during this drawing. So light pressure, and then what you want to do is push really dark, really hard, right along the edge of your sphere. In fact, if you have a black or gray colored pencil, now is the time to use that just along the edge. And then as you go further out into the shadow, just sort of fade out, ease off that pressure. Let's go ahead and fill in the shape. Make sure that you leave a circle for the highlight where the light is reflecting. The light is coming from my window, which is up there, which means that it's the shiniest part, the lightest part of the circle. The sphere is going to be right here. So what I'm going to make sure that I do is I put light gray, light pressure, all the way around. Make sure that you're starting with light pressure in your wrist, your fingers, and your arms, not pushing too hard, almost the lightest that you can press. And then as you get towards the bottom of the circle, you're going to start pressing medium. Bonus points if you can make your lines look like they're curving, okay? This is what really pro artists do to make the sphere look circular, to make it look round, is actually match the shape of their shading with the shape of the object that they're trying to draw. Okay, so now it's starting to look like I've got some medium. And notice how I'm just taking my time, really adding layer after layer after layer of gray graphite. Now down at the bottom of my circle, this is where it needs to get super duper dark because this is the furthest part away from the light. So again, if you've got that dark colored pencil, go ahead and give it a little bit of an outline on the bottom rim of the shape. Color nice and dark. You can smear it together with your finger if you want, and you've got your sphere. We're going to be doing a cube now. The cube is probably the most difficult shape to draw, but the easiest shape to shade. So notice that even though we know that this is a square, and this is a square, and this is a square, the cube has 6 sides. We can only see 1, 2, 3 of them, and actually none of these are real squares when we're drawing them. They would only be squares if we were looking at this cube from straight on, but we're not, we're looking at a corner, right? So these are actually angles that are not right angles like a square. So I'm going to show you a trick for how to draw this cube, okay? Here we go. I want you to draw a diamond. And from each of these 3 corners, I want you to draw a line going straight down. I need this middle line to be longer, and these 2 side lines need to stop at the same point. You see how this is the same? And this middle line comes down longer. This is important because these 2 lines for this cube need to be parallel. They need to be facing the same direction. They can't be different angles, different directions. They need to be the same direction. So slide your pencil down. In fact, if you have another pencil, you can go ahead and slide it down. Slide it down and connect them. You've got yourself your cube. The shadow's going to be kind of wonky here. Look. Come out, up, over, connect. Same thing, shade in your shadow. I'm working a little bit quicker than you should. You've got plenty of time. Slow it down, make it look really nice. This is gonna be the darkest side. The light's coming from here. So the top is gonna be the lightest. This side is gonna be medium gray, and this is gonna be your darkest gray. I'm gonna outline, shade it in, pretty much one solid dark gray color. This side, medium gray, like my medium pressure, about as medium dark as I can get. And this top part, I'm barely even gonna add any gray, just barely color it in. Cool, see, I told you that the cube was hard to draw, but easier to shade. And I've got a worksheet that I attached to our Specialist Google slide, and you can actually just look at the worksheet and really look closely and try to match the shading that they do. You can even trace on your computer screen with a piece of computer paper, with a blank piece of paper, if you really need help drawing that cube. Okay, next shape, it's called a cylinder. Okay, it's a circle at the top and a circle at the bottom. Okay, and it's shaped like a soup can or like a cup. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to do an oval, not a circle. Do an oval here. 2 straight lines down from each side of the oval, and please make sure that the bottom of your cylinder is curved. It needs to be the same curve as here. In fact, you can take a couple practice lines, curve, 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 and then when you've got the feeling in your fingers, curve, curve, curve. Cool. Shadow is just going to sort of be a line out from the bottom, a line out from the side, and a curve. You know what? I've drawn these shapes a lot of times, many, many times, and I've never started with the shadow, and I kind of like it. Right off the bat, it makes me feel like these shapes are sitting on a table. The top of our cylinder, just like the top of our cube, very light gray, okay? Shaded in very light gray. The light is hitting right here, so that's gonna be the lightest part. There's also gonna be a highlight here. In between here, we're barely gonna color in at all. So you can do a little bit of dark. Let's shade top to bottom. Remember how we like to have our lines match the shape of the form that we're coloring in? And then stop. Leave this white. And pick up your shading over on this side. If you looked at a soup can, we should probably be looking at an object, to be honest. It's always so much more helpful when I've got something that I'm actually looking at that's sitting in the light. If we were looking at a soup can and the light was hitting it right here, we would notice that this is the furthest part of the can away from the light source, which means it's going to be the darkest, the most shadow. And then as it comes around, it's going to get lighter and lighter because it's some of that light, some of that sunshine, some of that lamp light is going to creep around the corner. So what we do is, as we shade, release the pressure in your wrists and your fingers and let it get lighter and lighter until you get to the edge. Nice. I like how that looks. Remember, you can always go back through with your fingers or with a tissue and you can sort of smooth it and blend it. Last shape, you ready? I've got a cone, okay? It sort of looks like a pyramid except it's circle. It's a circle on the bottom. We can't even see the whole circle. The whole circle would be, or the oval, the circle would be like this. All we can see is this bottom edge here, and then it comes to a point at the top, sort of like a birthday party hat, okay? Not too hard of a shape to draw. Let's put it right here. I'm gonna do a curve, like a smiley face at the bottom. And then I can put a point right up here. Ooh, almost tipped over my cup. And I'm going to do a straight line from the edge of my curve to the point, and from this to the point. Cool, so I've got my birthday party hat. If the light is hitting right here, the lightest part of the cone is gonna be right here. We're barely gonna shade anything in this spot. Okay, if you want, you can put a little bit of gray on the edge here, but then stop. Pick up your shading over here with light gray, light gray. Start pushing harder and harder and harder. Here we go. We've got dark, dark, dark as you can go, 100%. Push hard, and then start easing off. Back off that shading. Stop pushing so hard with that pencil. But notice how my lines are going from the bottom to the top. I'm still doing straight lines. I'm not doing all sort of scribble scrabble like that. Okay, cool. Looks pretty good. If you've got that dark pencil, you can go back on top with a little bit of dark pencil. The darker we add the shading, the better. Or the darker we add the shadow, the better. And my shadow is just going to be a sideways triangle, like it fell over from the bottom out, from the side out, just like the square, just like the sphere, just like the cylinder. Notice that all the shadows are on the right side of the shape of the form. They're all pointing that way over to the right because the light is hitting them at each shape in the same spot. Okay, I'm going to shade in that shadow. Oh, see, I left that one until last. That's how I normally draw things. And if you've got an eraser and you want to go through and erase some of those white areas to make them even brighter, that's totally cool. If you want to go back through and make your darks darker and your lights lighter, that's what real artists do. I can't find my eraser. I'm pretty sure that my dog stole it, so I'm going to go find her and see if she can give it back to me. Hopefully she didn't eat it. I hope you enjoyed this. Now that you know how to draw these 4 basic shapes, there are lots of other forms that you can practice drawing and shading. I bet you can find some online, but I actually linked a worksheet that you can look at while you're practicing these and totally impress people by how 3-dimensional and real these forms look. Thanks for drawing along with me. Have a great day.